All right, and we're live. Thibault, thanks for joining the podcast, man. How you doing?
Super good. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah,
Like,
man. It's been we've been actually like following one another for a very long time, or I don't know for a long time, but for at least a year or two, if I had to guess.
yeah, I think so.
So I've been kind of watching your progression and what you've been doing. And then only recently I was like, well, I got to have this guy on the podcast. Like, I feel, it's so weird, like with social media, because you feel like you know a person because you follow their progression, you follow their life. It's almost like watching a TV show and you feel like you're a part of the crew, but then like you don't really know them. It's a weird thing, right?
Yeah, and the journey was interesting. Like, I hope like the content was worth it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why we're here today, and kind of the whole arc of your story, that what you did through Twitter with Tweet Hunter, and currently right now with the sale, and we kind of we'll get through all that. But maybe before we can kind of give people a little bit of a background, like who you are, what you do, just so people get a better understanding.
Yeah, so basically, I'm an engineer. I started, I think, like every engineer in the world, like doing a consultant, working on big corporates, and I hate it. So I just quit and started my own startup.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I did the thing that most entrepreneurs are doing, like trying to convince everyone that your idea is awesome, but it's not. So I failed, and I failed. I didn't fail fast. I failed after 2 years.
Okay.
So we just split it over with my co-founder, and we did different things. And about like 2 years ago, we got back together with Thomas, and this time we wanted to do things a little bit differently, and this time it actually worked. So super happy about that.
Where you're located in France, right?
Yeah, exactly. So in the last 2 years, I've been living in France, in Thailand, and in Bali. Have met some incredible people in my nomad life.
Mm-hmm.
So
We're in Thailand.
in Koh Samui
Oh,
during COVID
nice,
time, which is
nice.
I think a very crowded island normally, but during COVID it was like perfect island.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
I met super interesting people like Levels IO, Rockstar, people on Twitter that I was really liking their contents. It was awesome to meeting them in real life.
How is the tech scene? I mean, I'm sure, even if I don't know if you've been to the US, but I'm sure you have an idea of kind of like what the tech scene is here. How is that compared in France, for example?
But if you look at things in France, it's super boring. Like
Really?
you have some events, but most of the events here are promoting, I think, the old way of doing startups, like meeting VCs, meetups to find your co-founders. And what I found in Thailand and in Bali was like awesome. It was like
Mm-hmm.
groups of solopreneurs and indie makers building some super interesting products by themselves alone, and really willing to help each other on every aspect like SEO, marketing, or anything.
Yeah.
So I
So
made crazy, like super nice friends there.
in Bali and Thailand.
Yeah.
So you're saying it in France, it's not as much of a tech slash entrepreneurial, I don't know, lifestyle, or there's not that, because here, like if you go to some of the main cities where the tech hubs are, like if it's New York or LA, or I know now it's Austin, Miami, San Francisco, obviously, it's like you kind of feel it. It's palpable. Like anywhere you go, everyone's trying to pitch something. Like it's really, yeah, palpable is the right word to describe it. That is that not the same in Paris?
But that's the VC vibe that I was a little bit talking about. It's like you're pitching your startup idea because you are trying to raise fund or create a very nice team. And I like this new way
The
of doing
solopreneur.
things. Yes, solopreneurs, independent guys, very small teams, distributed around the world. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, was that, did you see Did that just explode during COVID? Because there wasn't as prevalent like pre-2020, right?
I don't know. Like, I have no idea about that. Like, I discovered that during COVID and have no idea if it was something before. I guess a much smaller thing. But when I tried myself, I actually loved it. Something that fascinated me is like on my first startup, what I did, because I was told that as an engineer, you need to manage people and be the project manager. What I did is like hire about like 10 interns and ask them to do many things. And I was spending my days managing people and trying to organize the work between all of them. And by doing that, we were so slow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And on this new startup on Tweet Hunter, it was just me at the very beginning, and we were so fast at building new things. We were shipping features so fast.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's different when you have to delegate, especially if you're hiring the wrong people. It's so hard to get your idea across to them, having them do it, having them come back to you with questions, iterating, versus if you have the skill and ability, you can go, just do whatever you want.
And in the early stages, you need to pivot. Yep. Every time you need to pivot a lot until you find the good idea and until you find product market fits. And pivoting when you have a team makes everyone feel like you have no vision. So you spend your days explaining that this is the normal way in startup, that's just like product discovery, or that you are just doing MVPs, things like that. If you are just a very small team, just two co-founders building by themselves, you are just avoiding all these collaboration costs and management costs, and you're going just much faster.
That's why you have, I have friends in corporate, and they're like, man, I spend half my day just in meetings talking about what we need to do. And there's very little doing, or the doing just takes much longer because they're just stuck in meetings all day, meeting after meeting, talk about what needs to be done, how to do it in the past, what they did wrong. It's like, yeah, it's good to analyze and it's good to plan ahead, but that just sucks up so much of your day.
So true. Like I felt that.
So I mean, before we kind of talk about the current successes, let's go back. What were you doing before you kind of went into the whole shipping 10 products, and what were you doing? What was kind of the first iteration or the first entrepreneurial endeavor that you tried?
So first startup, I was building an app for kids to help them do their daily chores, like clean their room, brush their teeth. It was not a total failures, but we wasn't really generating money. We had users, happy users, but they were not paying. So after 2 years, we just stopped, and I started something new, like a new startup to build a video game to help kids to learn how to code. And again, it was super nice, big team. We raised a lot of money. And
how much did you raise?
Like I think a little bit more than 500K.
Okay.
So that's higher than 20 people team. Earned a little bit, like got some other money from French grants. And we got a lot of users, happy users, but again, they were not paying. So after 2 years, a lot of debts. We had to close the company and fire everyone.
That's why they were happy, because they didn't have to pay.
Probably we did something wrong here.
That's also a tough one, right? Because you have to, like, your customers are the kids, but they're really the parents, right? Like you have to find the parents of the kid. How do you even go about that?
Yeah, that's a horrible business to be in. Like you need to convince two people, when just convincing one people to pay is already super hard. So like just thinking now how it went, it was just a horrible idea to get into this business. Even if I love the business of education and building stuff for kids, it's just so hard to start with. So after this second startup, I became an employee, CTO in a big scale startup.
Mm-hmm.
Learned a lot there. I learned how to do SaaS, and I liked it. I like B2B SaaS, and
Yeah.
I understood how you can make money.
That's why everyone's getting into it now.
Yeah, exactly. And so I quit my job because being an employee was a little bit off to me, and that's got me into this new adventure.
And then I mean, I guess what were for the first business at least, like what was that point where you were like, we need I mean, I don't know what you ended up doing, but I'm assuming you shut it down. Like, what were the points where you're like, this is unsustainable, we can't continue this, like this is the end of the road?
The first one was it was almost profitable.
Okay.
So we decided to shut it down because it was 2 years and we had no plan to make the product really take off. And some of the co-founders wanted to just stop. Mm-hmm. because we had this idea of we wanted to be the next Facebook. We wanted to go go big or go broke, things like that. So we just stopped working on it, and I managed to sell it to an American guy, and he's running the business right now.
Okay, so it is running.
Yeah, and I don't really know how it's going, but I hope he's doing fine.
Yeah. And is that the one? Because I somewhere I remember I heard that you said you got a 250K loan from the French government.
That was in the second startup.
Okay.
And that was like, this one was a big failure, in a way that so that was the 200K loan that I got from the French government, and after 2 years of hard work, we had to reimburse this loan, and we just couldn't, and we had like a huge team to pay, and so we went bankrupt. And this is a very shitty process that's very hard to live as an entrepreneur, because like you are, I don't know if it's the case in the US, but in France you go to the tribunal, in court, and you have to just explain what happened, and you are afraid to have personal, that you are afraid that it impacts your personal life.
Yeah.
It went fine, but it's super scary.
Did they forgive the loan essentially?
Yep, exactly.
Wow, that must have been a scary time. And like, and you were personally responsible for that money technically?
No, I was not. But it's still possible to say that there was like a mismanagement, and so if there is, even if I'm not responsible for it, I would still need to pay back.
Yeah. That's always scary. That's why, I think most people prefer to go the VC route, where the VCs and the entrepreneurs both know it's a gamble and anything can happen. And when you take on a loan, especially I'm assuming from the government, it's like, it kind of, I don't know, it would keep me up at night, not that all the other things don't keep you up at night, from the customers to shipping to product to all the other problems that you currently have. But then on top of that, to have that loan on top is,
but like scary. Still, that's also the case with VC money. You have to go back to people and tell them that you lost the 500K that they gave you, and that money is gone.
Oh yeah, that's horrible. No, it's horrible. It's both of those things are equally, I don't know, there's a lot of responsibility to take someone's money, you know what I mean? But I think that it's just a little bit of a difference when you have to pay that money. That's an additional weight on your shoulders, versus everyone's aware that something could go wrong in the startup, but you're going to do your best, obviously, to return 10x their money, whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So then how do we get from that? And then you go and you work CTO. And then at what point do you tell yourself, all right, I want to go indie again. I want to go solopreneur. And then this whole idea of shipping 10 products, I want to get into that, because that fascinates me.
It was complicated. Like I was the CTO of this startup, and I had a daughter at the time, super happy about it, but she almost died, like when she was like 2 month old.
Really?
And
Wow.
because of that, we just wanted to change life. And we both quit our job with my wife on January 2020
Okay.
to start to just travel the world. And the plan was to go to Bali. And I don't know if you remember what happened in January 2020.
Yeah. So in January 2020, I was in Japan, and I started hearing on the news about COVID. And I was like, one of these things again, like you hear about all the time. And then from Japan, I flew to Italy. And then Italy again, everything was happening. They were talking about it, but I wasn't taking it seriously. And then the day after I left Italy, they shut down the whole of Italy. I get back to New York, and within like 5 days, I got COVID, and the whole of and the whole of New York was essentially shut down. So I was like one of the first people that I was the first person that I knew personally that got COVID, and then everyone got COVID in New York because it spread like wildfire. But yeah, if you're asking if I remember, I definitely remember.
And were you fine with COVID?
I was out for like 4 days. It was mostly like just fatigue, like extreme fatigue. I remember like it was difficult to turn over in the bed. I was just like from side to side. Every move I made felt like I was running a marathon. But after 3 days, 4 days maybe, I was good. And then after I think a week or two, I was like back to like working out and everything. So yeah.
Yeah. So basically, like we both quit our job. It's the job we're over in February, and path COVID hits. Everything is closed down, and so we never left. We stayed in France.
Okay.
And I don't know if you remember, but at the very beginning, it was like it was supposed to be a 2 weeks thing.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
And then 2 more weeks, and then 2 more weeks. So at the very beginning, you are just like waiting and hoping you can go. But then, like, I think 3 months later, we just moved on to new things.
Yep.
And my wife got back into a job, and I got back into some projects that I was working on, small stuff. I tried to be rich quickly by doing some AI for algo trading.
Okay.
Basically trading forex exchanges and trying to be rich with that.
How did that work out?
I didn't lose money, but
Okay.
I didn't earn any.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of quick get rich quick schemes on the internet. There's every day I see every day I see on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube. It's endless.
And yeah, so after this failing, I reached out to my old co-founder Thomas, and he was actually quite bored at his day job, so he quit too. And early 2021, we start bootstrapping.
Okay.
And that's how we got into Tweet Hunter slowly.
So how do you get to? Because from what I understand, the idea was, let's ship a bunch of products. Let's create a new product every 2 weeks, right? And Tweet Hunter was one of those things, right? One of the 10. And so can you tell the story?
So we were the absolute goal was to avoid spending 2 years again working on something that would not be validated.
Yeah.
So we started this crazy challenge, and actually at the very beginning, it was like we would ship one new product every week until something take off. But it's so crazy that the idea behind it is that we would try each product to make the next launch easier with a bigger audience by targeting always the same people and by trying to solve always the same problem. So the creator economy was booming, and a lot of creators were actually looking actively to make more sales. And that was the target that we chose and the problem that we chose. And so every week we were launching a new product, both on Reddit and Twitter. we were trying to gather the testers and the first users into an email list and to get them to follow us on social media. And that made our audience to grow little by little at each product. And the goal was this time to validate products with money to be the only validation. Mm-hmm. We're not considering anyone saying, yeah, it's awesome, or I would pay if you add this XYZ, or it's just missing this piece, or etc. We need to have payments to consider the project to be validated. And so we shipped like 10 projects like this. It was supposed to be one per week. I think we shipped like 10 in 4 months. So it was definitely more than a week. Yeah. But some of them made money. I think 4 of the 10, a little bit of money. But when it came to Tweet Hunter, things got super different, and it took off from like day one. So it was obvious for us that we would need to continue.
So many questions. Okay, so which number product was Tweet Hunter?
11th.
11th one.
The last one.
The last one. And then what were some of the other ones?
One of them was Product Lift.ai. Was basically a search engine for communities. Like you are launching a new product, you want Slack communities, subreddits, even Twitter accounts or Telegram groups where you can just post your products. It didn't work because the fact of posting on those communities just doesn't work. Like you need to be genuine in the way you are communicating about your products. You need to be like you need to belong to those communities. You cannot just post one day when you launch.
Yeah, Reddit's tough, especially I think maybe like 5-6 years ago it was a little bit more of a wild west, where now like some of these bigger subreddits have the moderators on it. Like you can't quote unquote spam. If you put your own, like trying to self-promote something, they'll ban you, they'll take it off. It's not as easy as it was a few years ago. Like, yeah,
definitely
it can be a little bit annoying at times.
Yeah, I agree.
So then like, yeah, go ahead.
Another one was like, it was Tweet Butler. It was like Twitter analytics. Okay. Based on
like a butler. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like an AI assistant that would send you an email every week saying, you published this, this topic really resonated with your audience, people interacted with this, and maybe you can publish a thread about those topics, etc. Okay. I think it generated like something like 200 in monthly revenue, but it's like it wasn't sticky.
Mm-hmm. And then, so you said you had 11 total. Did you kind of, because the you had one winner, did you let go of all the others?
It was like, yeah, basically yes. Yeah. It took time. Okay. All of them were like self-service, no maintenance. So they were just like living, and slowly, every time we had to do maintenance on one of them, we killed it to just focus on Tweet Hunter.
Yeah. So it's hard. I mean, if anyone has ever started something, because the general consensus is you put all your focus on one thing, you put all your eggs in one basket, and to spread out to 9, 10, 11 different things is extremely difficult, because you only have so much bandwidth in a day, right? You still have your life, you still have family, you still have all these other things. And then to try something new every other week, that's difficult.
Yeah, but like when you're thinking about it, you cannot think about Tweet Hunter as it is right now. Mm-hmm. Tweet Hunter at the very beginning and all the other 10 products, they were super small, and almost all of them were limited to only one feature. Mm-hmm. Like Tweet Hunter right now is a full suite of Twitter products, and it can do anything on Twitter. But at the very beginning, Tweet Hunter was like just one search bar. You were writing something like marketing, and that would retrieve viral tweets talking about marketing. That's it. Just one feature.
So that was the MVP, just one feature.
Yeah.
That's all it was doing.
Yeah, and people were subscribing to that.
And people already paying you because that was your metric, right? So what were you, did you have a number, like if X amount of people paying subscribers in X amount of time, then we'll keep it, otherwise we scrap it? Like what did you have a number in mind, or was just like, oh, okay, this shit's catching fire, let's keep going?
It was definitely that. Like every time we try to do these like boundaries where it would be green if we have this number, or dark if you have this number, it was always in the middle. Like we don't know, so we just decided to not have any numbers and just see how it goes.
Yeah. And right, when when you see it, you're like, oh, okay, like this is not the same. Like these, if you look at the numbers, if you look at I'm assuming how the reception it got at the time, you're like, oh, okay, this one thing is not like all the other things.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you get people to use it in the beginning? Like, because from my understanding, the idea is to make people go viral, specifically on Twitter. Like that is the kind of the consensus. But if initially you got a lot of kind of like air quotes Twitter influencers to use the product, but they already go viral, right? So like, why would they need you initially if they're already going viral? Why would they need a tool to go viral?
So they were definitely not the first users,
okay.
Surprisingly. The thing is, we got into the idea of Tweet Hunter because Twitter was driving a lot of traffic to every single one of our 10 products. Mm-hmm. That's what we were trying to optimize. Like Tweet Hunter was in the first place for us, a product that would help us to grow on Twitter, and it was working for us. So because it was working for us, we decided to make a product out of it. And basically we did what we did for every other products: email newsletter to our base, a lot of tweets and Reddit, and that's it. And something that was working super well is DMs, but DMs not to just reach out to people and plug your link, but DMs to build relationships with people, trying to understand how they are doing with their Twitter growth, and if you can help in any way.
Yeah, because DMs are tricky, right? Like I'll get DMs all the time of just like like marketing stuff and like, oh, let me help you with your website, and like it just feels inauthentic, right? Yeah. Like, how do you bridge that gap? How do you come at someone knowing that I want to ultimately sell you something, but I want to do it in a way where I create a relationship and not just be salesy about it?
I would say that the first thing you need to do is talk about the person you're talking to in the first place. Most DMs are basically, hey, I am working on that. I'm doing that. I went through this and I am going there. And that's typically not the thing you want to receive. You want the people to know you a little bit, and when you praise an accomplishment, or where you're talking about a specific problem that the person had, it builds a connection right away, and it just changed the game. And it's funny because we're talking about DMs, but it's true that one DM definitely changed the way we handle Tweet Hunter, because after the first 2 months, we started reaching out to big Twitter influencers, and one of them was GK Molina. I don't know if you've heard about him.
I don't think so.
He's like,
I know, Molina, I know him.
Yeah, GK Molina. He's a Twitter influencer, not that big, like 35K followers at the time, but doing something very specific, a Twitter growth course, and talking about ghostwriting and copywriting. And his reaction was amazing. Like he said, this is exactly the technique that I'm teaching in my course. Looking at great content will make you write great content. It was basically something that he would tell people to do manually, like build your own swipe file of very good inspirational tweets to then use them to come up with inspiration. And he said, I want to be in, I want equity. And we did it. Yeah.
So he invested in the company?
Not really. So he joined.
Okay.
He basically got involved into the products in a way that he got shares of the products in exchange for using his audience, using his time, and to actively work on the marketing of Tweet Hunter.
And did you see an uptick, kind of upswing once he did?
Yeah, definitely. So we worked together with him on a Twitter launch on September 2021. And at the time, I think by ourselves, we reached 5K MR. But just with this launch with GK, in about 3 weeks in September, we went from 5K to 20K MR. And that was the beginning of something new. Like we had money that we didn't have before. We could do new things. Yeah.
Was that fascinating? Because I see that sometimes, and I'm a little envious, obviously. But when I see there's certain people on Twitter, which is why I think Twitter is so fascinating, and I want to jump into that a little bit later, who will have whatever 20K, 50K, 100K, 200K, whatever the number is, but like a good amount. And when they put something out, it just flies. And it's amazing to see the power that they have, not in a bad way, obviously, but like they have a base of people that just flock to whatever it is that they put out. If it's a course, if it's some sort of NFT, whatever it is that they're selling, it just goes. And that's why I think like Twitter is so amazing, because you can connect in a way that maybe you can't really connect in other platforms. And just every time I see, from, Sean Puri to all these other guys, I'm like, wow, that's amazing to get to that point.
Yeah, it's very true. Like you have, and by the way, this first circle is super important on Twitter, because if they react well to your contents, it will go beyond your first cycle. But if they don't, like if they are like meh, it will stop there.
Yeah,
that's how Twitter works.
So maybe can you explain for someone who doesn't know what Tweet Hunter is, and just kind of give a breakdown of what the company does? Obviously, you explained the first iteration, but now kind of give a encompassing idea of what the service is.
It was just this wall of viral tweets, and it evolved to this full suite of multiple products. Right now it's about scheduling content on Twitter with automation. So one example, if you can do something like you're tweeting about something, and if the tweets got like more than 100 likes, it can automatically plug a reply by yourself under the tweet saying, hey, this is my newsletter. If you want to learn more about me and my content, you can subscribe here. That's something that creators are using a lot.
Yeah. Because if you put it off the bat at Twitter, there's something in the algorithm where it won't promote the thread as much, right?
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Okay. Tweet Hunter is also about analytics. I think it's the most actionable analytics on the market, which is going to tell you what's working on your content and what's not working. And it's giving you some features with AI that would make you able to take a content that worked quite well and to generate variation of these contents. So you can post again about the same topic in a slightly different way. It's also a lot about AI. So you have AI generated tweets. You have ways to just continue on a tweet that you started to write. It's like it generates variations. It can do many things. Obviously, the AI is not good enough to be published right away. But for someone like me, who I have this problem with blank pages, where I cannot start from scratch. Like I need the baseline, and then I will see it and I will tweak it and I will connect the ideas, and then I will build something that's actually relevant. I need that. And actually it seems like a lot of people work the same way, given how it's helping. I think it's helping like more than 5,000 people right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And how do you know it on the back end? Like you're obviously the developer, you're the engineer. How do you know, like, what are you telling the algorithm to look for? Or I have no idea. I'm a complete novice on that stuff, but like, is it looking for just metrics like, oh, okay, this thing did 1,000 likes, it's good, therefore you should somehow repeat it? Is it looking for some sort of a structural, grammatical way of writing things that causes people like what are you looking for? Like, what is it looking for essentially?
But basically, we are so to build this world of inspiration, we are creating like a summary of yourself.
Okay.
Like we're taking all the tweets that you wrote, and we are building this summary of you, which would describe you from your tweets, and then we are comparing this summary with tons of tweets that we have on our database, and we're just trying to find the ones that match the most. And by showing you that, it's when I say match, it means based on topics, tone, like style of writing, etc.
Wow.
And yeah, so it should make sense and be close enough from your content.
And most of that is done by the AI technology.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the current AI space? Because it seems like there's a few things. One, it seems like there's a new trend that comes along every once in a while, right? Like when COVID kind of came out, it was crypto, and then it was Web3, and everyone was on Twitter was talking about Web3, and now it seems like everyone's talking about Chat GPT and AI. And I think this is kind of separate from those. I think those were, I don't know, they were what they were, and some people lost and some people made money, and the trend kind of faded. But this AI, I don't know if you want to call it revolution that's happening right now, is wild. Like I've been going into like all these different services and products that have been coming out, and what they're doing is blowing my mind. And then that kind of falls into two camps. You have the people that are the optimists or realists or whatever you want to call them, and they're like, wow, AI is going to change the this and that and the other. It's going to change how we do this. It's going to change how we do that. And then you have the other people that are pessimists, again, or realists, depends how you want to look at them. And they're the doomsday, AI is going to take our jobs. Hey, this is the end. No more creators, no more this, no more that. Like, where do you fall, and how do you kind of see the space right now?
I don't know if my answer is going to help you, because I'm more like wait and see.
Okay.
It's because I like both sides have very good arguments, and it's like I feel it's impossible to know right now. I feel right now everything is driven by costs, and AI is still quite costly, so it's hard to do scams with AI because it costs too much. It's hard to generate spams. It's hard to do many things right now because it still costs a lot. But the thing is, costs are probably going to go down, and when it go really down, that's when I think it will start to be scary. We'll see.
Why do you say scary?
because you will receive emails from your grandmother that will really look like your grandmother, but she will not write anything.
Yeah, that's the freaky part, you know. Like I, yeah, I think your very level-headed approach in how you answer that, because especially, I don't know, maybe this is just an American mentality thing, but here it's like you have to pick a side on everything. It's like I'm either here or there, and like most people just don't answer you anything kind of in the middle. I don't know, you know. So I think like it's got a ton of potential, obviously. Like all the things that we're seeing right now, from ChatGPT. That also, like, there's also some downsides to that, obviously, and but like, and all the other features that are coming out from, I don't know, Jasper and all these other companies that are out there that I'm seeing, and then you have the face thing, right, where you can see someone talking, and they've never talked, they've never created that video, right? And if you want, I don't know, if the government can want some dictator, they can put out some video of someone saying something they've never said and start a war. Or like you said, even on the small, the micro, like your grandmother asking you for money, which would be weird, your grandmother sending you a video and email. But just but still, like, the general idea is there's a lot of potential for scams and fraud and for things to go wrong very quickly because it looks so unbelievably real.
What's I think what's pretty much certain is that in the short term, like in the next 2-3 years, I think that AI will create something like a big rotation of all the big tools that we are using right now. And I'm talking about Google, HubSpot, Salesforce, stuff like this, which have huge moats. It's very hard to compete with them.
Yeah.
But AI will make it possible, I think.
Well, they're what did I see the other day? Microsoft they're trying to incorporate ChatGPT into Bing, right? So it looks like it's gonna just be one thing, the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think that was super smart from Microsoft to just jump on this, and it can have a huge impact on their B2B business, but they can also ramp up their search engine business. So yeah, it's super smart. But if I would be like as the owner of like a multi-billion company right now, like HubSpot, I would be afraid.
Really?
I would be afraid about this huge change, because like all those companies, they like incremental change, but they don't really like disruption. Big disruption can just destroy their business.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I think it's an exciting time to be an entrepreneur.
Well, it's also like the interesting part is like all the creative stuff, which before you thought like, oh, this could never be done by machine. All of a sudden, logos, writing, blog posts, I don't know, UI, UX, no code tools to create websites, like all these things where before you needed large agencies and would cost a lot. And then it kind of moved to the next iteration, which was maybe freelancers that could do it pretty quickly. And then, everything is kind of moving to just completely automated. And I don't know if like it's going to lose some of that human authenticity and human touch and human creativity and right? Like, I don't know where it's going to be, because like the stuff that's coming out now looks amazing. It does feel a little bit like robotic sometimes. It doesn't have that human feel, but 5 years from now, who knows, right?
But that's why it's super hard for me to pick a side, given how wrong we were a few years ago. Like we obviously, for us, the plumber or the delivery guy would be the job that would disappear in the face of AI, and it's definitely not the case. It's the opposite happening. So like any prediction that we're doing right now, I'm pretty sure 99% of them will be wrong if you are trying to predict more than like 5 years in the future.
Yeah. No, that's very true. I agree with you. Well, let's talk a little bit about Twitter. And I touched earlier, like, obviously you chose Twitter because it's got this amazing instant feedback. The way you can connect with people is, I think, unlike any other social platform. For people who are maybe not on Twitter, can you explain? So for example, you and I, we connected super quickly, right? Boom, you want to come on the podcast? Boom, let's do it. Email, podcast, the whole thing is in 5 minutes. If I had to do that on LinkedIn or I don't know, Instagram, that would take days or weeks. And even then, excuse me. And even then, I don't know if it would happen. Why is Twitter, do you think, like so different than any other platform?
That's a really good question. I my bet would be like because of their limitation in the number of character in the tweets, it shape the entire products around quick actions. Mm-hmm. Like you're writing short tweets. You are DMing people without really thinking about it. You are like action oriented, and that's why you can just quickly interact with the CEO of a very big company on Twitter, whereas on LinkedIn, it's definitely not something you would do because of all the little and subtle and invisible barriers that you would face. Do you see what I mean?
Of course. I mean, look, I connected with people that, for example, oh damn, I'm blanking on his name. The co-founder of Netflix. I forget his name, but essentially he put a tweet out, something about outdoors, which is kind of what I'm currently in. And I reacted to his tweet with something about what I'm building, and he was like, "I'm gonna DM you about it." Where else could that happen? You know what I mean? With instantaneous, like he looks at my profile, he's like, "Okay, this person seems legit. I like what he's building. Boom, let's DM." And like from there, like you never know what can happen, but like that could only happen on Twitter.
And I don't know why, but like when you are DMing people on LinkedIn, it's formal. It's very formal, and you have like people are writing huge messages. But I think like really on Twitter, you are formatted to write short messages, and it happens too in the DMs, even if you don't have the constraints.
No, it's so true, man. It's like, so how long have you been on Twitter now?
I started to be active on January 2 years ago.
Okay, so you only started 2 years ago.
Yep.
And then what was the process like? I don't know, first 6 months, like how many followers did you have? At what point did you see that hot? I think now you have about what, 60,000 followers?
Yeah, about that.
Which is a nice amount, you know? That's pretty impressive. Like what was the trajectory like?
It's like it's really hard. The first few months, you are struggling a lot. And I really feel like people are doing it wrong at the very beginning. Like people they are not doing it enough. They are focusing a lot on quality. They are wondering a lot about why their tweets are not working, and they are not doing enough actions. What I mean by that is I really think that in the first few months it's gonna be hard, but you need to do it a lot. You need to focus on quantity and forget about quality. And by doing it a lot, you will start to build this habit of writing. You will get better at this, and you will start to understand the game of Twitter, and then you will reach quality contents. And it's not working the other way around. I really think that Twitter is a platform that's optimized for quantity, and some of the content will just blow up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think, well, which is kind of similar to like, I don't know, if you want to launch a product, like a company, a product, startup, whatever it is, right? You're not going to wait till it's perfect. You're just going to ship, build, reiterate, pivot, etc., and then go from there. If you wait till it's perfect, you're going to wait forever.
And people generally know about that, but they don't really know. It's they know about it, but they still make the mistake because they are just and I did that too multiple times. I like multiple time in the Tweet Hunter growth journey. We had this we built a lot of side project that would fuel the growth for Tweet Hunter, and very often I was scared about shipping them because I felt that they were not ready, and I would need a week of more work to just finish some crazy thing. And I was really surprised by, there was one project I felt it was not ready. I sent it to a few friends. One of them leaked the project to some Telegram group. It was a tweet generator on the tweethunter.io domain. And the Telegram group played with that. They tweeted about it with screenshots of the tool. And one of the tweets got like 2,000 likes on Twitter.
Wow.
and he leaked the link, and so it blew off on Twitter, and that was one of the most viral moments of Tweet Hunter.
Wow.
And I was actually thinking that the tool was not ready. So sometimes it's even if you know it, you're still making this mistake.
You think founders should be more active on Twitter? Because like, even if you're working, let's say you're starting a company like yourself, right? But like, it's not related to Twitter, whatever it is, it's something completely else. Like, should you still be working on your personal brand, right? Regardless of the company, just work on your own personal brand, be on Twitter, be on social media, create a brand around yourself while
So I don't know if you know about the buyer of Tweet Hunter. It's Lempire. But the guy behind it, Guillaume, he built a 15 million annual revenue business, and the main growth channel was his personal brand. And the business is not about social media. The business is about cold emailing. Okay. But what he did, what social media enables, it's not only about grabbing attention, it's about educating people and having people to be successful. And what Tweet Hunter is awesome at is like, Tweet Hunter, I think, is growing very fast because it makes our users successful on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And what Guillaume was doing on LinkedIn is sharing about cold emailing and educating people to do like proper cold emailing. And just by making them successful through contents, they were just sticking to the tool and sharing about it. So if you make your users successful, there is no reason you would not grow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, look, whatever it is that you're doing, even if it's not a tech job, right? Even if it's not tech related, even if you're a plumber or a baker or an outdoors person that you like hiking or snowboarding or whatever it is, if you can share content on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, whatever it is, you can grow or funnel more people to your business. If you, let's say, you know what, I want to be a plumber for life. This is what I love. This is what I want to do. I don't want to be a YouTuber. Fine. But YouTube can generate more sales, can bring in more clients, can do all these, and forget about the fact that it can be like a little side business and income stream for you. So it's really, there's almost no downside. The only downside is, I think, fear and ego. A lot of times it's just like, oh, I don't want people to say bad things about me. I don't want to put out a video and get 0 views, which is embarrassing. I understand all that. That's ego, that's fear. But like, who cares? If no one sees it, what do you even care? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have this bias that we think everyone is watching at us.
Yeah, and the spotlight effect.
Yeah, exactly. Waiting for the first failure to making fun of us. It's just not happening. And you are totally right. If you are failing with one content and it got 0 like, it also means that no one is seeing it. So no one is seeing the failures.
Yep. It's only you. And again, I understand it sucks. It's not fun if you put work into something and then no one watches it, but you have to figure it out. And again, the downsides are small and the upsides are unlimited.
Very true.
So yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the sell. That's I think that's the exciting part. So for people who don't know, you sold the company about what, two weeks ago ish? Something like that. And so I don't know if you can, or if you want to share, but how much can you share how much you sold it for?
So it's hard to say because like the deal is uncapped. So we are working with the buyer for the next 2 years, and the more we grow, the more we will get in money. It's gonna be above 10 million, the overall deal. It can be quite higher if we reach very big numbers, but it should be about 10 million.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How does it feel?
It's super weird because people expect you to be incredibly happy, but still it's really mixed feelings because you are it's your baby. You used to have full autonomy on it and decide everything by yourself. And right now, everything is changing. Like we're talking with a big team about integration. Topics are more complicated. We need to validate stuff now. So yeah, it's mixed feelings. Always.
You haven't bought the 5 Lamborghinis yet?
Not yet. Thinking about
Okay.
it.
Save your money. Don't do it. So can you tell the story? Because I read the thread on Twitter and I thought it was super cool and kind of like a small world type thing, right? Where like I don't know, because yeah, you tell the story better than I can.
So the thing is, I think when people think about startup acquisition, they think that like you find a buyer and you just talk a lot and that's done. And I was kind of shocked by the story about the founder of, I think it was WhatsApp, who met Zuckerberg a while ago before the WhatsApp acquisition. And they talked about WhatsApp and Facebook 25 times over 2 years before the acquisition. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy how it changed the game when you have talks that last a long time before you actually talk about selling. And that's a little bit what happened. Like I was in middle school with Guillaume when we were like 12 or 13 years old in Paris, France. And we totally lost contact after that. We went very separate ways. And about a little bit more than a year ago, I just realized that he was the one who built this incredible company. Lemley is super successful. And so I reached out on Twitter, by the way. and he was super happy about it. And so we just met in Paris.
Yeah.
And we started talking just as entrepreneurs. And it happened a few times over a year, just talking about our businesses and see how we could just help each others. And came this discussion about us wanting to sell. We were in the process of selling. We were talking to many people. And he said, by the way, I might be interested. So talks started like that. And just in 2 weeks on WhatsApp, we covered all the details and we moved forward. And the fact that it was a direct communication with him and that we were like same age, same language, same culture, it was super easy.
Yeah. No, I would imagine that's such a small world, right? That doesn't most people, they have to go a completely different route to sell their company.
Yeah.
Versus like a childhood friend. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And we kind of tried that. We found a broker. We paid him a lot of money and he was like pitching our business to like HubSpot and very big social media companies, a lot of B2B marketing companies. And the conversation was always super boring.
Yeah.
Huge, very long processes. So it was like kind of a shortcut into selling.
Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine. Did you have, so when you start a company, I don't know, there's kind of two schools of thought about this. Some people, well, I think everyone's in the same boat, but I think two different schools of thought as far as talking about it. Like, I think everyone is starting a company thinking like at some point I'm going to sell this. But some people say like, no, I want to run this for as long as I can. Then other people are a little bit more honest and they're like, yeah, fuck, I want to sell this within 3 to 4 years and 20x my whatever, right? 100x, whatever it is. Did you have that in mind when you started the whole thing? Like, we want to sell this in 2 to 3 years?
It was like, we want to reach 10K MRR in less than a year and sell after 1 year.
Yeah.
So we did something very different. We grew more and we waited 2 years. But yeah, the plan was to sell from the very beginning.
Yeah. And then now you're going to be working on this for the next 2 years?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's L'Empire has a lot of very exciting projects. They have a very cool team, and we're working with them. What's pretty cool is that inside their company, we are still very autonomous in handling Tweet Hunter and Taplio. So it's kind of, we are a small startup inside a big startup.
Yeah. And then I saw that you put out a tweet saying you're giving back 1% of the acquisition to users. A, why? Because I've never seen anyone do that. And B, how would that even work? Like how are you going to do that?
It's not settled yet, but basically we announced it a year ago that 1% of the profits and 1% of the exits of Tweet Hunter would just go back to the Tweet Hunter subscribers. That's a small way for us to just give back. It's not huge money because like since there are a lot of users, it's like a big chunk of money gets split into a huge number of users.
Yeah.
But basically, we are working on that right now. We don't know the internals. It might be, we might offer different options based on what you would like to do. We are working on an email right now. If everything goes right, it will be shipped in early February.
Okay. And again, like, are you focusing on like early adopters, or are you focusing on everyone on the platform?
Everyone who's still subscribed right now and who subscribed before the 15th of January.
Okay. You heard it here first. 15th of, oh, okay. 15th of January. We already passed that. All right. So too late.
Yeah, the moment we announced the acquisition.
Yeah. All right. Too late to jump on board. Anyway, you should use Tweet Hunter though. It's amazing. Cool, man. This was a lot of fun. This was awesome. I'm really glad we got to do it.
Yeah, me too. Like super interesting by the topics we covered.
Yeah, man. So obviously people can find you on Twitter. Is there anything else or any other platform you're on, or you know, do the plugs?
I'm just starting to be active on LinkedIn. You can find me at Tibo, Tibo Louis-Lucas, if you know how to spell it.
Yeah, we were talking off air. Both our names just get butchered in America. So I shown it to Roy and he shown it to Thibault, and it's much easier.
But yeah, would love to connect with anyone interested in what we're doing. So yeah, and awesome, thank you again.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, man, and congratulations on everything you've done. It's been fun to watch the whole process play out in real time, and I'll see you on Twitter, man. Thanks again. This was awesome.
Yeah, looking forward.